And Port Power?
Yeah, Port Power just did what you'd expect them to do. Had plus 20 entries, and the big story is Jason Horne-Francis. So there's no love lost here, but both ways. So they're still dirty on him, and they didn't probably feel he bought into them. Jason would have said, well, what did I walk into? What club was I walking in? So it goes both ways, but he was best man on the ground, 24 disposals, 10 clearances, so he answered. Did let his footy do the
definitely buying into his footy club now, isn't he? So he's been tagged a few times this season. So down at the Cattery, they tried to go with him with multiple players, and just his clearance work and the way he blasts away from those clearances, exactly like that. You can't tag that. There is no player in the competition that can go with that if he's able to take the football with him, and that is a rare thing to be able to do in football. So there's not many players. Judd was able to do that. Harley Reid can do it. But outside that, can you remember too many players that are able to do this, and you just cannot stop it?
Yeah, so I don't get. So you just said that, Brown, and you're spot on. So why have Liam Shields at half-time go, I'm going to go and tag Horne-Francis? This guy's 33 at his second club. I would have been giving that opportunity to Wardlaw, who couldn't get into the game, and say, OK, George, you're our young gun. You're our Jason Horne-Francis. Go and stand side by side with him and go head-to-head and try and beat him the other way. Instead, you're going to Shields at 33, playing a tagging role. Some of the tactics yesterday from Alastair Clarkson absolutely bizarre, and I think they'd be questioning the influence that Clarko's having at North right now.
I agree, Kane. I'd even go a step further and question why they didn't bring Liam Shields to the club. Now, I get why they did it for the leadership component. I mean, as we discussed that, we'll just have a look at what is now happening under this quick succession of coaches that started when they sacked or decided to not continue with Brad Scott, and Rhys Shaw came in for the back half of 2019, and that was a disaster. So too was David Noble, and it's the only word you can use now with what's happening with Alastair Clarkson in the now 2 seasons that he has had at the footy club. And just back on the Shields point, I get why they did it from a leadership perspective, but I would argue that his form, I mean, Hawthorn didn't any longer want him at their club, so why would North Melbourne have him? And I think his form's an issue as well.
Yeah, I mean, all the recruits that they've got there, Dylan Stevens, Darcy Tucker, Logue, Core, you can question all of them. I just think with the Clarkson piece for me, and I walk in today and go, well, we're going to be negative about North again. You go, well, at some point you actually have to address what is going on, and largely that revolves around Alastair Clarkson. And the thing that I'm noticing with him, he's lost the hard edge. So with Clarko, he had the intimidating sort of factor that you just want to play for this guy. But now it's all nice. We're playing well. The wheel's going to turn. We're going to get there. The young players are coming. I don't want to hear any of that. I want to hear we've conceded 100 points again. I'm Alastair Clarkson. I'm not accepting that. Every time I hear him speak, it's nice.
So you're saying he's gun shy from previous indiscretions?
I don't think he wants to lose the players, because once you lose these young players, and if they, God forbid, lost another one, like we're going to speak to Ben Mackay shortly, they can't lose any. So he wants to be nice to the players and keep everyone happy. That's not Clarko. Absolutely not acceptable to concede 100 points every game this week. North ball in the pre-season, we're going to play offensive. Well, they got that wrong. Let's start with what, I don't know, Paul Roos did. Let's have a real determination to keep an
What is the one thing they actually do well? Because I don't know what it is.
You've got to start defensively, because you can't continually concede 100 points again, and it happens every week. And Alastair Clarkson will roll out during the week and go, oh, gee, we had some good ones. We feel like it's not. I'm telling you, it's not turning.
You just hope, Kane, that behind closed doors, those conversations are happening.
Think they are, though,
I'm not sure, but it's just that these players are that low. That's where he's trying to get the balance. They are these players. Some of them have never won before. Yeah. So that's the balance that he's got.
So you've got to have the little wins, I reckon. Let's have 100 up in big bold letters in the locker room and say, we're going to keep a team under 100 points this week and start with...
But that's how bad it's got. That's going to be a win.
I know, but what else are you going to do? I don't know. It's just...
Port Adelaide and North Melbourne. We spoke about North Melbourne's woes earlier in the piece, but Kane, tell us what Port Adelaide did right.
Yeah, probably as expected. You think, TJ, I mean, North were having a bit of a go for a half, and that is standard, but then Port Adelaide broke away in the third quarter, kicking 6 goals to split the game open. Marshall was terrific, so really got his kicking boots back on, and the accuracy was much better from Port Adelaide. That has let them down. Their midfield is reasonably powerful. And I thought Ollie Wines' performance off those heart palpitations was important, and this is the start to the game. So here is Wines. He was subbed out of the game last week with the heart issue, which would be clearly confronting the second time it's happened. Port Adelaide put him through all the tests and said he was right to go, so well done to him. The combination of him and Drew, it's almost like 2 players for one position. Drew was squeezed out a little bit yesterday, but Wines' form's been pretty strong. So 26, kicked the goal. kicked 2 goals actually, and it was a strong performance.
So I'll ask you about Todd Marshall. So he kicks his 5. Where do you think he's at as a player? Like, can you see him, say, against the big game they've got, who you say, Carlton this week?
Thursday night.
Wiedering goes to him. Can you trust him to kick his 3?
Yeah, I think he's the perfect third tall. He's a bit like Jack Lukosius. But unfortunately for Todd, he's been forced to be the main man for a lot of the time because Dixon's been injured or Finlayson hasn't had the form that they probably thought he would have. He's not a main forward, he's your third, but gee, he struck them beautifully yesterday. When he gets his confidence up, look out, his body's better. It was an issue for him last year with the groin. So, yeah, good test for him against good opposition in a big game on Thursday. But 5 goals was 5 goals, career equalling 5 goals.
And then the Dockers and the Pies the other night.
We've got to vote first, Nathan.
Sorry.
This is what happens when you try to host.
That's okay. There's Jason Horne-Francis, best player on the ground. Ratugolea, what he did to Larkey was just a really strong performance. Marshall and the veteran Travis Boak, I thought was enormous.